clarification on this one, because we're gonna have it at the meeting?
We always, I think we always do all this. Yeah, we'll just do the pledge. Good evening. I'll now call the Newton County Board of Commissioners special call work session to order. I'll ask Commissioner Long, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. His wing is broken.
The third item on our agenda is the presentation of the Unified Development Ordinance Amendment Convenience Stores. And that Stephanie Johnson, our county attorney, will be presenting that at our executive session. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
No executive session.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you're presenting it here. I had that wrong. She'll be doing it here.
All right, good evening, commissioners. It's a little hot. At our March, I believe it was our March 17th work session was the last opportunity that we had to discuss changes to the convenience store development standards in the Unified Development Ordinance. So this is an update. We have our draft that we're gonna go through, our current working draft, and then we have some additional suggested areas for regulation, and so we'll have an opportunity to look at those, talk about what we need to be able to really implement something like that in our draft, and just talk about what might be the best means to implement some of those standards. All right, so the current ordinance regarding convenience stores, so the use standards for convenience stores. And again, this covers convenience stores with gasoline pumps and convenience stores without gasoline pumps is addressed in section 510-200 of the Newton County UDO. And generally, the ordinance is solely limited to addressing lighting, screening, and size. So this is the entire text of the current ordinance. Just to refresh your memory, again, it addresses lighting, it addresses a visual barrier or screen, and then it also addresses the total size, the gross leasable floor space of the convenience store, limiting it to 5,000 square feet. So our current working draft, the proposed ordinance, it provides for additional restrictions on distance between convenience store locations and also their situation at four-way intersections. It further provides clarification on lighting, screening, and size limitations, has an additional section from the last time that we met on compliance with law, and timely development. And then there's appropriate headings for all subsections and a new purpose section. So again, the purpose proposed for the proposed ordinance just expresses the intent of the board and grounds the revisions in the desire to promote the public health, safety, and welfare by mitigating certain impacts that are associated with convenience stores, including traffic congestion, crime, and adverse effects on nearby residential areas. So the first section that we have is an enhanced section on outdoor lighting. So this is slightly revised just for some organizational clarity from the last draft that we had. But again, it states that the lighting has to comply with another division of the UDO, Division 1460, when it comes to lighting standards. And then it describes, the type of lighting that has to be installed, preventing glare, excess light spillover. It specifies the brightness for the canopy lighting, and then also takes into consideration or an attempt to limit the impact on residential areas. So the next section is on screening. So again, screening was addressed in the prior version, but this version seeks to clarify some of what's required for screening. So again, it specifies that it's a continuous visual screen along the property line, and then gives specifications that has to be opaque wall or fence of a certain height. It can be vegetation of the same specified height with a certain amount of opacity year round. And then, we had already addressed that the visual screen shall be continuously maintained in our prior version, but we set that out just to emphasize that point based on comments that we received from the board. So the next section that we have is size limitations. So based in this draft, our current understanding is that the desire of members of the board would be that the size limitation, the 5,000 square feet size limitation, would be for all buildings attached, detached, that are on the property being used as a convenience store. So the 5,000 square foot limitation would, accessory structures that are attached or detached would be covered by that 5,000 square feet limitation. All right, so the next one is the separation requirement. So this one is drafted pretty specifically. There's a lot of language here, but the goal is just to emphasize that the convenience store uses have to be at least 2 miles apart. So that's all that language says, but it seeks to define it in a pretty specific way from property line to property line. I know we've gotten feedback that maybe we should use the GIS, county's GIS information. I believe that's something that we can do. And then it also defines, the 2 miles. We specify that it's from a convenience store, truck stop, truck terminal, dispatch parking. Those other uses, truck stop, truck terminal, those may not have gasoline pumps, but they're similar type uses that we thought it would be the intent of the board to have those be spaced appropriately as well. And then there is an exception in E2 for convenience stores that are on diagonal from each other, is how I would say. So those would be an exception to the having to be 2 miles from one another. All right, so then another comment that we got that we thought was reasonable based on other sections of the UDO was just having a general compliance section that says that convenience stores shall comply with all applicable local, state, federal laws and regulations. So this is language similar to language that's included in other sections within 510 of the UDO. And then lastly, some of the comments that we got from the board at the last meeting had to do with timely development of properties. So a property owner being, issued a permit to develop the land, and then they just don't do anything with it. 5 years go by, and then all of a sudden, it's like nobody remembers that it was even approved. So this is intended to address that concern by requiring that, within 1 year, they have to commence substantial construction activity on the site. And then if substantial commencement hasn't been completed, then, the zoning administrator can notify the Board of Commissioners to initiate a rezoning of the property. So that's the enforcement mechanism. There can't be an automatic reverter, but there can be a provision that says that the zoning administrator, which is the Director of Development Services, could come back before the board and ask that the property be rezoned. So that's as far as we've gotten with our current draft. There are some additional possible areas of regulation for convenience stores or really commercial use generally that have been suggested. And so I just wanted to go through some of those things and just raise them as topics so that we can discuss and get some more information. So the first one is for landscaping. So there is a section in the UDO that already addresses landscaping. I think it's 1430. And so we would want to make sure that if we do separately address landscaping within the convenience store ordinance, that it's clear how the two provisions relate. And if there's things that really should be applied to more than just convenience stores, then it may be more appropriate to put those provisions within section 1430 or somewhere else in the UDO. So for instance, one of the things is that dead, diseased, and damaged plants would be replaced, within a reasonable time. And it's stated here as 30 days. Also, just general cleanliness. I think this overlaps with another property maintenance section that we'll go to. But just the standard that a property owner at all times maintain the premises in a clean, orderly, sanitary condition. So that's something that I would say would likely be best appropriate in a section of the UDO that would apply more to than just convenience stores. This one is a convenience store specific provision related to the number of fuel pumps, excuse me, and the size of the canopy. So suggestion, and I believe we can do this one in terms of not exceeding 12 pumps unless approved by the Board of Commissioners. But then we would need to understand or know specifically the the procedure for doing that, if it's by a conditional use permit or otherwise. And then in terms of canopy meeting applicable height and setback requirements, we would want to know what sort of height and setback limitations the board would want to put there. So the next one is access and traffic management. So access points being limited to the minimum necessary for safe ingress and egress. And then the possibility of doing a traffic impact study. So again, some of these, there is a separate section of the UDO that addresses, I believe, ingress and egress points. So again, we would want to ensure consistency, and if there is a minimum necessary or maximum necessary, we would just want to have some mechanism by which we were determining that. So next one is security requirements. So this is another one in our opinion that would be best something, and it could be something that's unique to convenience stores. If they present a unique situation that requires additional security, we would just want to make sure that that's the intention of the board. But essentially for security cameras, adequate lighting, that's something that we would probably not include, only because lighting is covered elsewhere. If we feel like there's something specific as far as adequate lighting that we want to address, we want to flesh that out a little bit more. Loitering is also addressed elsewhere in the Code of Ordinances, and also I think in Georgia's overall code. So that's another thing that it's not necessarily that it would be preempted, but it's something that we should take a closer look at before including. And then additional security measures may be required for extended hour operations. That again, we would want to see when that would come into play. So the next one is property maintenance, and I think this one is one that would be good probably as a broader applicable standard rather than just for convenience stores. So again, the requirement would be, of course, to maintain clean, safe, and orderly condition at all times, including, and it specifies certain activities, removal of litter and debris, maintenance, including some sort of standard as far as violations and fines. I think that may be something that would be better in our Code of Ordinances, excuse me, my throat's so dry, Code of Ordinances, just to be able to, that all violations have the same type of enforcement mechanism. And again, there's some repetition there, but just again, with the owner maintaining premises in a clean, orderly, and sanitary condition. So hours of operation, this is a suggestion. For this one specifically, we would want to make sure that we're tying any limitation to health and safety and welfare in terms of making sure that there's a justification for this. And then again, extended hours requiring enhanced security measures. I think that could be clarified if that's, between the hours of 12 and 5 a.m. and what that would specifically be. Vacancy and abandonment. So vacant property shall continue to comply with maintenance requirements. I think we can have some type of vacancy and abandonment section, but again, it would just need some more definition in terms of what exactly qualifies as a vacant property. And then in terms of, use being discontinued and abandonment, that's something that we have to, look more closely at, because, the removal of fuel and infrastructure and signage would have to have an appropriate process to enforce that against the property owner. All right, that's the last of the areas. So if anyone want to, yes, go ahead, please.
Commissioner Long.
Thank you for all the work you've done, and thanks to the other board members for all the suggestions too. This was kind of a passion thing for me, and I know Commissioner Mason and Commissioner Cooper, because we have quite a few of these, and the other districts have them too. But I have one in my district that is definitely not even a gas station anymore. I'm not really sure what it is anymore, and I've had code enforcement go out there a couple times, and it seems to be a lot of gaming machines in there. And not a lot of food or any drinks or anything in there. So I don't know what that is. So sometimes having these standards is important to do that. Everything is legal, whatever they're doing, because they've all been out there. I think the biggest thing that I want to make sure that if we don't have these particular things that you talked about, we've discussed in the ordinance, then we need to make sure that we reference them and tie back to our other ordinance, which it can be tricky. And the reason why is if you change ordinances and like we say, go back to 1407, and all of a sudden 1407 is not 1407 anymore. There's a lot of backtracking on that. So that's why I really felt that some of these things should go ahead and be included in that ordinance so they don't get lost. One of the things I tried to do was look for loopholes, because loopholes is a big thing with people that are that really want to put something in a county and are trying to do it, and that's fine. It's not that we're trying to keep anybody out. We just want to make sure that we maintain standards in Newton County. So one of the things I want to make sure of is if we do tie back to a definition, because we have this substantial construction shall begin within 1 year of land disturbance. We've had a little bit of that going on in the county where somebody did get their land disturbance permit, and they went out there with a tractor and moved a little bit of dirt, and that was it. And so we need to make sure that what does the word substantial mean? And that's a real important issue. The GIS map, and everybody's going to say that they can measure from a different way. So I think there needs to be a standard on measurement of some kind. It doesn't have to be GIS. The information about security requirements, I actually got that from DeKalb County, because DeKalb County now requires any convenience store to have cameras on there. So if there's any kind of crime or anything, or they're looking for a car or something like that, they can use cameras from these convenience stores. So maybe we could look at DeKalb County and see what that verbiage is. The other thing was, really worried about referencing these codes, because some of these things are real important. So I want to make sure they don't get lost. We have in our ordinance now that people have to keep up the landscaping and the buffers. But we have many, other than convenience stores, we have other businesses that the landscaping has died, and there are no buffers anymore. And I've talked to code enforcement several times, because I've got calls from community members, and they don't feel like there's a lot of enforcement there for them to give. So, and that happens with several other businesses that we have in the county, not just convenience stores. So I want to make sure that somehow that we have some teeth in it where we can enforce and make sure that our magistrate court and judges will enforce these cleanliness things and buffers. I mean, because a lot of them, I hear that they just pay the fines and they don't care. So we just have to look at that and see how we're going to address that. It does a little bit worry me about tying back to the reference code. So somehow, Stephanie, if you can figure out how to make that work where it doesn't get lost in the shuffle, where you're saying lighting and we're going back to 1407, let's just make sure that we have it where it's defined in here that we're talking about that lighting, okay? Because I think that we've seen some loopholes in the past. That was kind of my big thing, was those big issues. I made some notes from all of these information that we've been sending around. We do have something about hours in there already. We just need to look at that again and see what that says. But this was really important to me, and I did spend a lot of time trying to work on this and getting everybody's comments to put into it. So I appreciate you guys going back and taking a look at what we had to say and kind of incorporating the way you thought we could in there. So I appreciate it very much and everybody's help.
Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think one of the things, and I guess, Stephanie, you can tell me if this needs to be in a specific section or how we need to do that. Of course, throughout Newton County, we have certain overlay districts. So there is a greater expectation on those businesses that do business in those overlay districts. One of the things that I see or notice in the Salem overlay district, of course, is landscaping is a huge ordeal. And so, of course, Chick-fil-A is in that overlay district, and they set the standard when it comes to what landscaping should really look like. I know one of the things that has been brought to my attention, and I don't know if this is something that can be put in this UDO, in addition to just mowing the lawn or mowing the grass, can they have it sprayed, 2 to 4 times out of the year where it's greener grass and it eliminates weeds, and that they're doing edging on it, not just cutting it, but they're actually neatly edging, their grass, spraying it for weeds, making sure that it's greener grass, because we want those overlay district areas to really look nice and to really look prominent. And I know for me, I get a lot of feedback on the Salem overlay district because, of course, that's District 2. And so that's one of the things that I try to stress to every single business that desires or chooses to come into that overlay district. What is your landscaping plan? And so I see several of the convenience stores there now, they don't really take pride in that landscaping. So I really want those overlay districts to truly look like the standard that we've set for those overlay districts. So I don't know if that needs to be specifically specified when it comes to landscaping, like specifically spraying for greener grass, spraying for weeds, edging. I don't know if we have to get that detailed or not. If so, I think that would be great so that our code enforcement could enforce those things when it's not being done. Thank you.
Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you. I don't know what this may reflect on particularly what we're talking about, but I noticed, especially when we had a few convenience store issues in the city of Covington, which I attended as a citizen, part of the community. And most of every convenience store that they propose would have alcohol. And in the underserved areas, you have a low lot of convenience store with alcohol, gaming machines, and then like we know, we heard, at least I heard on TV, where sometimes they gamble and give one money and stuff, and it be sometimes a source of crime. And we need convenience stores, I agree. But I think it's a mini liquor store, that's what I call them. It's a mini liquor store, whereas the community is being overran with those liquor stores, beer, you can find it. We have a food desert. You can't even get some collard greens. When the former mayor, late Sam Ramsey, at least he did, the city put a fruit stand in town, where you get fresh vegetables and stuff. You can't get that now. If you didn't have no transportation, I guess you have to purchase whatever a convenience store had. And I think that if we as a community are going to get healthier, we've got to start thinking about the food deserts that we're in and try to correct it. And not have so many convenience stores, I think, especially when it's alcohol. If you look at our young kids, whether it's in Newton or wherever, somehow or another they end up with cans of beer, bottles of wine, and most times, sometimes bad things happen. So I'm hoping that, we need to find a way to curb it, slow it down. Thank you.
Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, I guess a question, we have these convenience stores now that are problematic in terms of some of the things we've outlined in this document. So, is there any way to modify this document to include existing convenience stores where applicable? I mean, all these don't apply to an exist. I mean, some of these are applying to people before they ever build a convenience store, right? So, but some of these issues should be implemented, I think, to our existing convenience stores. I have a problem one in it's actually in District 5, but the people that call me live in District 1, have to go by it and see it. It's continual trash issue there. So, we've got those issues, and I don't know, I don't know how legally you would adjust this document to include, when applicable, these guidelines. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Cooper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Also, I think we need to, don't know where we need to put it, we need to address where they're storing things behind it as well. Make sure we monitor that, because I've seen a lot of stores where they're just storing a whole bunch of crates and pallets and they continue to stay back there. So I think we need to somehow monitor that as well. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner Henderson just helped me bring up another thought that came to my brain earlier. And I don't know if this should be, and this may not be in this particular section of the UDO, but somewhere, I guess, in our UDO. When we talk about food deserts, I know when we say it's a food desert, meaning that it's a specific area where you have no access to fruits, vegetables. I know it has been previously stated that the Salem overlay was a food desert, which that's inaccurate information, because you have Publix, you have Walmart, you have 2 Krogers that are very, very near where you can get fruits, you can get vegetables. So it's not just an area made up of fast foods. You are able to get fresh fruits and fresh vegetables. Now we're getting ready to bring in an Aldi in that area. So that's another opportunity to eradicate any type of potential food desert. And so maybe that is something that we should look at throughout the county in this area. And I don't know if it's in this specific area, this specific section or another section of the UDO, where we kind of say, hey, we can't allow a specific area to be inundated with convenience stores. There has to be other type of marketplaces that provide fresh fruit, fresh vegetables that residents have access to. So that was my first thing. And then the second thing that came to my mind was, and I think we've alluded to this before, the convenience store is now having a convenience store, but then on the side of it, you have a gambling area or a casino, or you have a liquor store. Is there a way to even be able to address that from a legal space to say, hey, if you're a convenience store, you can only be a convenience store if you wanted a liquor store, or if you wanted a casino, it has to be a completely separate building or a completely separate entity. I don't even know if that's permissible or not. If legally that can be addressed, because I know that has been a big thing too, with some of the residents saying, well, hey, there's gambling going on, there's, liquor stores. There's supposed to be a convenience store, but now they're turning it into something else. So I don't know if that's something that can be addressed as well. Thank you.
Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And along those lines, so I know near my house, we have several convenience stores with the video gambling machines. They also sell food in the form of unpackaged hot dogs, hamburgers, biscuits, fries, onion rings. So those people are coming in, buying a soft drink and their lunch, and sitting down inside the convenience store at the gambling machine and doing the gambling machine. So the intent of that food, as far as I'm concerned, is to be consumed off premise, not on premise. There's no seating for a restaurant type, service. So, and also, I think that needs to be specified in going forward. Also, can we restrict the video gambling machines totally from the convenience store ordinance, the UDO, going forward? They're trouble, in my opinion. I've lost a lot of money in those things. I'm just waiting for that. That's just my opinion.
Commissioner Long.
Now you brought up another point for me. Are these hot dog machines and all that and french fries, are they being inspected by the health department? I don't think I've ever seen a grade or anything in those gas stations. And now I see one that said they got signs all over a car out front, like, having breakfast and this and that, and, so I thought about that when I drove by. I was like, is anybody inspecting that food? I mean, I guess the people that buy it don't care, but it doesn't fall under the restaurant and the health department. But I will also call them and ask them that question. Thank you.
Now, I'm sure some of those are permitted for, now Quick Trip is not equipped for consumption on premise either. So, I think serving of the food, as long as it's passes is good, I guess, but outside or in your vehicle or on the road or wherever is where you consume your food, and not sitting at a gambling machine or, walking around the store eating. But I guess some of those, I haven't seen any in Newton County. Some of those larger ones, like the Quick Trips, I don't think they have a place for seating, do they? Okay. So that's an area we probably need to cover. Moving forward, I don't see a big deal with I grab biscuits all the time at the convenience store, but the deaf dogs don't appeal to me, but the biscuits look pretty darn good. So, but I can consume them riding down the road or at my house. So, thank you, Madam Chair.
I've taken note of your comments. I know some of the things I'll have to look into and can't give you an answer right now, but I've made a note of each of the things that you raised, and we'll get back to you. I don't have anything further.
Anybody else? Okay. Motion to adjourn? So moved. All in favor? Second. Okay, the work session is adjourned. We'll adjourn we will reconvene the meeting at 7 o'clock. Good evening. We'll now call the meeting to order of the Newton County Board of Commissioners, April 7th, 2026. I will ask Commissioner Henderson if you will have our invocation, and Commissioner Long, if you would lead us in the pledge to the flag.
Amen. With everyone bow their heads, please. Most gracious Heavenly Father, come before thee with thanksgiving in our hearts. We come just thank you for all that we've been through. We know that when we followed you, sometimes you go through a whole lot of trials and tribulations. But that's good because we're still here. And it's good because you love us. You love us so much that you gave your only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. And I thank you. This we pray in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ's name of Nazareth. Amen.
Amen.
Can everyone stand, please? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have to amend the agenda tonight. We have several items coming off. Item number 13, 14, 15, 17, 20, and 21. I need a motion to amend the agenda to remove those items and to adopt our agenda tonight.
So moved.
All in favor? Thank you. That's unanimous. Now it's time for our public comments. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes to comment, voice concerns, or opinions regarding agenda topics only. So if we have anyone that wants to speak tonight on agenda topics only. Hearing none, we will close the public comments. The next item is the report from the chairman. We have Dr. Duke Bradley, Newton County Schools Superintendent, is going to do a short presentation. Dr. Bradley?
All right, thank you, Madam Chair, members of this board. Duke Bradley, Superintendent of Newton County Schools. I want to thank you so much for an opportunity for me to provide a school system update to this board. Normally, I would be accompanied by my executive team and members of our cabinet team, but unfortunately, they're all on spring break enjoying some well-deserved downtime this evening. I'll try to be brief with my remarks this evening, but Madam Chair, I thank you so much for yielding a little bit of time to me. I'm here this evening to represent Newton County School System, but also the Newton County Schools Board of Education, which is chaired by Board Chair Mrs. Abigail Coggin, our Vice Chair Mrs. Shaquila Henderson Baker, and board members Mr. Trey Bailey, Mr. Eddie Johnson, and Mr. Anderson Bailey. I want to begin by providing a bit of modern context about Newton County Schools. We serve nearly 19,000 students across 24 schools, making us the 21st largest district in the state of Georgia. We're the county's largest employer with more than 2,500 individuals, each committed to making sure that students learn more on our watch than they could anywhere else. But more than our size, what matters most is that we are a system evolving to meet the higher expectations and greater complexity and change than ever. Because as you may know, public education today is not the same enterprise as it was just a few years ago. Under the guidance of our board, when I began serving as superintendent 3 years ago, we were charged with strengthening the district's systems in a way that would power us for years to come. And that work has been organized around the themes of academics, operations, culture and engagement, and organizational stability and innovation. One of our core priorities has been to strengthen the academic foundation of our school system, because at its core, our work is about teaching and learning, and the measure of our success is in student outcomes. To move this forward, we focused on 3 key developmental focus areas: creating a state-leading workforce development framework to strengthen pipelines for students to access high-demand careers, developing a soon-to-be-released literacy blueprint to improve reading outcomes and better support teachers, and pulling together the best-known research on how to deliver great instruction through the Newton County Schools Excellence in Teaching Framework. We've also instituted a quarterly reporting cadence to ensure predictable public shareouts of our work. In essence, we've made our progress visible. And because trust follows transparency, you should know that we've had success in the metrics that matter most in schools. Allow me to share with you just a few relevant data points to help provide a clearer sense of what we've been up to over the past 3 years. In core academics, reading proficiency has improved in 5 of 6 tested grade levels, and math proficiency has increased in every grade, including 9th grade algebra. In equity and access, we've expanded AP course offerings from 25 to 32 courses, increased participation by nearly 19%, and subsequently more than doubled the number of AP scholars district-wide. In talent development and college pathways, 8th grade students earning high school credit have increased by 40%, and dual enrollment participation is up over 100%. In career readiness, our end of pathway pass rate has increased by 20%. And as indicators of system health, we've had 4 consecutive years with a composite district graduation rate above 90% and 4 consecutive clean audits with 0 findings. But most importantly, you should know that the state of Georgia evaluates schools on what we call the CCRPI ratings. It's the College and Career Readiness Performance Index. And I'm pleased to share with you that 21 of our 24 schools over the past 3 years have improved their CCRPI scores, with 6 schools representing a quarter of the district posting double-digit gains. So if there is a story to be understood about our school system, this is it: clear, undeniable, hard-earned, data-informed improvement. And I think we can all take pride in that. What this also says is that there is clear momentum toward fulfilling our aspiration to be the fastest improving school system in the state of Georgia. But this pursuit is not without its challenges. The current fiscal and political environment have taken a toll on public education, and we are navigating those challenges as best we can, as are most other school systems across our state. If I may, allow me to directly and respectfully discuss the topic of resources and resource availability. What you may not be aware of is that our board has lowered the millage rate to 30-year lows in consecutive years, amounting to nearly $19 million. What could any public institution do with $19 million? It's an honest question, but it's really not the point. The point is our underlying belief. Our board believes in an expansive notion of public stewardship, which recognizes that we are a part of a larger system and that our decisions should reflect the broader interest of our community, even when those decisions come at a cost to us. And as an organization with a single primary revenue source, that kind of choice operates on an assumption that we will be supported when the financial realities of public school systems across this state are rapidly changing. We're navigating rising costs, declining revenue growth, an outdated funding model, and a relentless assault of unfunded mandates. Moreover, public school systems like ours are being asked to produce results amid these threats, and to do so with fewer resources that we have consistently refused to accept through years of lowered millage rates. Within all of this, you should also know that Newton County Schools ranks in the bottom third of school districts statewide in central office spending and staffing. And while this may reflect financial moderation, it also signals that we are operating below optimal capacity. At the same time, our per pupil investment also trails many of our regional peers, which means that we are educating students with fewer resources than most. This context matters when you consider our financial efficiency rating of 2.5 on a 5-point scale, which is nothing more than a measure of our outcomes compared to what we invest in educating our students. The question before us is not whether we are being efficient. It is whether our current level of investment is adequate to deliver the kind of school system that our community deserves. Now, I won't dwell on the finer points of school finance, especially in a system that already dedicates more than 90% of its budget to salaries and benefits. But I must note that the results of this year's legislative session have not made things easier. Recent legislation rightfully and appropriately aims to reduce property taxes, but it does so without providing adequate safety nets for school systems. It forces communities into a choice between supporting students and protecting taxpayers, especially our seniors. And that's a choice that no community should have to make. But we've been fighting, spending time at the state capitol with our delegation and presenting alternatives that we think work well for everyone. I say this because the work of educating children doesn't sit with any one institution, and neither does the success of our community. In a county like ours, those responsibilities are shared. Yes, our boards have different roles, but we serve the same people and the same public trust. The decisions made in this room and in ours ultimately reach the same households and the same classrooms. And so we want to be intentional about how we show up in that shared space, continuing to engage more fully and to model the kind of partnership and cooperation that reflects well on Newton County and delivers for families what we all and what they all deserve. That's why I've joined you this evening. If I may, let me share this as a closing thought. For all of the talk about public education, what I've noticed is that we talk the least about the people for whom public education is for, our students. There are young people in all of our schools, like Asia Lanham, a standout student at Newton High and member of the highly selective Georgia School Board Association Student Advisory. Asia will soon be on her way to the illustrious Howard University in Washington, D.C. to prepare for a career in medicine. And there's Matthew Lynn, a true thespian and graduating senior at Eastside High School. Matthew has starred in over 30 productions during his time in Newton County Schools and will continue developing his acting skills into his upcoming college years. And even among our elementary students, there's two-time district spelling bee champ Caden Gray, who is off to a phenomenal start to the start of his academic career. Madam Chair, members of this board, let me just say in conclusion, the Newton County Schools is in the process of developing our next 5-year strategic plan, at which time we will sunset the organizational priorities that have guided our work for the past 3 years. For whatever results from this plan, some will only view it as words on paper, but they should actually be viewed as the aspirations of our community. With your help, with your support and your advocacy, we can make those aspirations a reality for the goods of kids and for the good of all. Thank you so much for allowing me to address this board. I thank you for your leadership. I thank you for your service. Madam Chair, I thank you for your time. That concludes my remarks.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
We appreciate that.
Thank you. All right.
Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Mr. Bradley, for that presentation. I just want to offer these comments. My wife is a school teacher in our school system, in the elementary schools, one of our elementary schools, and I understand all too well the challenges our teachers face, the challenges our students face, and the absolute plethora of types of kids we have. You know, I'm not talking about just diversity across races. I'm talking about diversity across types of skill levels, mindsets, and our learning levels, the abilities. So I understand fully, as I'm sure your board does, that the challenges that face you guys every day, and we appreciate what you guys do. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. We'll go to the next item, and that would be a report from the county manager. Mr. Brown?
At this time, I have nothing to report.
Okay, thank you. The next item is the adoption of our consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? Okay, that passed. Thank you. We'll go to item number 9. Consideration of resolution to appoint new solicitors for Newton County Probate Court. I believe Judge Bell is here for that presentation.
Good evening, Madam Chair, and to each of the commissioners. I provided all of the information in your packets. Georgia law provides that in a probate court that handles traffic as we do, that if the district attorney's office is unable to act as the prosecutor on the traffic citations, that the court should choose a solicitor and seek the approval of the Board of Commissioners. Since I took office in 2017, prior to that, we did not have a solicitor in traffic court. That's not necessarily legal. So I quickly went to work on that, and we had our first solicitor appointed back then. At that time, now Judge Layla Zahn was the district attorney, and she wrote a formal letter telling me that she would not be able to prosecute cases in probate court. That has maintained or remained the position of the district attorney even when it became Mr. McGinley. I do have a letter that I think was sent out a little bit late from him just renewing that his office cannot prosecute those cases due to staffing. We had Mr. Christopher Davis had been appointed by the court, by the board, a couple of years ago. He was fresh out into private practice and served the court for about 2 years. He was also a Newton County resident, but he notified me in February that he would not be able to continue in his position. His resignation is included. Judge Bryant and I began the process of attempting to locate a new solicitor. Actually, Mr. Davis provided this person to us, who is Mr. Taylor Carter. He is an associate at Lee R. Moss, LLC in Madison, Georgia. The resume of the firm and of Mr. Carter is included in your packet. The firm handles traffic court in several jurisdictions, so that was a perfect transition for us to pick up someone who has already handled solicitor duties. What I'm asking for is to name Lee Moss, who is the head of that firm, Taylor Carter, who is the associate currently assigned to us. But that way, if he were to leave the firm and someone else came in, the firm is still appointed and we can continue. I also continue to ask that Ms. Kara Hooks, who grew up here in Newton County, be included in our list of solicitors. She has been wonderful. She served the court for about 3 years and then could not continue to work for the court on a weekly basis, but she has always been willing to come in when we have extraordinarily large calendars. She'll step in so that we can have 2 solicitors that day. Also, if our solicitor, the primary solicitor is unavailable due to vacation or illness, she'll step in as well. She has kindly agreed to keep serving in that role, so I would like to ask that all 3 be named solicitors. That allows for continuity of services in the traffic court of Newton County. Does anybody have any questions?
Okay, let's get a motion and a second, and then we'll discuss. Okay.
Madam Chair, thank you. This time I'd like to present for approval Resolution R040726E, a resolution of the Newton County Board of Commissioners naming Lee R. Moss, Taylor Carter, and Carol Hooks as solicitors for the Newton County Probate Court.
Do we have a second? Okay, do we have any discussion? Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Madam Chair. After your budget presentation 3 weeks ago or so, myself and one of the commissioners, I forget who, had a conversation, and I have been here 9-10 years, and we have kicked the can of the probate court down the road a lot of times, and I don't believe we can do it anymore. The probate court is a citizen-centric, a taxpayer-centric organization. Her office faces the citizen, the taxpayers, every single day. So I believe we have to make this department as robust as we can going forward, and we've put that off for far too long. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any more discussion, question? Okay, we have a vote. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you, Judge Bell.
Thank you so much for your time.
We've got item number 10. Consideration of Newton County Sheriff's Office to apply for the FY25 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant. Proposed grant is the amount of $30,929. There is no match required. Is Brandy Birch here? Okay.
Good evening, Commissioners. So the Newton County Sheriff's Office is requesting to apply for the fiscal year 25 JAG grant. This particular grant is a formula grant, which means it is a non-competitive grant. It's based off of particular factors such as population and is pretty much a guaranteed grant for Newton County. Factors such as size of student enrollment, different things like that. So, and the amount is $30,929. Any questions? There's no match, and it is budgeted for.
Can we get a motion and second? Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go to item 11. Consideration of Peach State Construction Company proposal for the River Ridge Trail Culvert Replacement Project, and I believe Mr. Chester Clegg's here. Have 11 and 12.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We are requesting that the board approve a contractor for this project on River Ridge Trail. It's a three separate culverts that are being replaced. Peach State Construction came in with the lowest price at $125,850.
Do we have a motion? Second? Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. You want to go to the next item, number 11?
The second item is a 48-inch culvert on Ellington Road. QX Ground came in with a low bid on that project at $78,361.80, and we're proposing to have them do the work if it's approved by the board.
That actually is number 12, I'm sorry. Do we have a motion? Second? All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you so much. We've got item 16, consideration of agreement with Carl Vinson Institute of Government to facilitate a sequential intercept mapping event for Newton County, and that would be presented by James Brown.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commissioners. What we're asking to utilize $5,885 from the ARPA grant to help facilitate this training course for the SIM program.
Do we have a motion? So moved. Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. We've got item 18, consideration of Northeast Georgia Regional Commission agreement for updated comprehensive plan, and that would be presented by Mr. James Brown.
Good evening again. So what we're trying to do is update, as you're all aware, we're updating our UDO. We wanted to update our comprehensive plan as well. We got several quotes back, and Northeast Georgia Regional Commission came back by far the cheapest, so we want to engage them to update our comprehensive plan.
Do we have a motion? Second? All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. We'll go to item 19. Consideration of budget transfer, contingency for new positions, magistrate court, 2 deputy clerk positions, funding source, general fund. for the new positions, and that's in the contingency fund. Do we have a motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So these are budgeted positions, correct, for 2026 budget. Just want to make sure we weren't creating new positions this late in the budget. So these are budgeted positions, correct?
That is correct. These positions was presented to the board during the budget season, and we just transfer, as we have on multiple positions, once it's time that the department head or judges wanted to facilitate, or elected officials as well, to engage those new positions, then this is the process.
I got you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Long?
And it's my understanding that we had budgeted to hire these positions in September of last year. So we're putting them in now so that we do have a variance there, right? Because we only pay going forward to this next budget season, right? Okay.
That is correct.
That's what I thought. They sent a chart. It was a little confusing, so I just want to make sure that's what it was. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Henderson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. Do we have to make another motion? Because I think Commissioner Elwood motion for discussion that we said. So we got to, we're supposed to close that one out and then make another motion to approve? You tell me.
Yeah, you can amend the initial motion or just make a new motion for, to approve.
Thank you.
And we have a second. Okay, all in favor? Oh, I think we got a second over here. We got a second. Okay, so all in favor? Thank you. We have about 3 minutes until our zoning agenda starts. It's now 7:30. We'll go to the zoning agenda on item 8. I'll ask Ms. Anna to come up.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. The first case, it was conditional use permit CUP 26-000001. This was tabled by the board back on March 3rd, and then on March 5th, the applicants requested to withdraw the petition. And the majority of the vehicles and the equipment had been removed from the property. So they're requesting to withdraw at this time.
Okay, do we have motion?
Madam Chair, I'll offer that motion to remove the item as stated.
Okay, do we have a second? Second. Do you have any discussion? Commissioner Long?
Do we need to make a substitute motion that we're making a motion to agree with the request of the applicant to remove it from the agenda?
To approve the withdrawal
To
of his
approve the
application.
withdrawal. Okay, did he say that? Did you say that?
Let me rephrase that. Offer the motion to approve the removal of the item. Withdrawal.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you.
And the last zoning petition is case number NTL 26-000001. The proposed use is a wireless telecommunications tower facility. Location is on Highway 81. The parcel size is 3.36 acres in total, but the project area is only 0.29 acres. The tax parcel is 16-030. The future land use is commercial. The zoning is R2, single family residential. The watershed is South River, Commissioner District 2. The owner is Steve Astron, and the petitioner is Brent Ratcliffe, and he will be represented by Andy Rotenstrike with Baker Donaldson Law Firm. And the intent is to obtain a conditional use permit to develop this cell tower facility for T-Mobile. So a brief history, on March 25th of this year, the Planning Commission recommended denial of this petition by a vote of 5-0. The questions and concerns from the board members included the citizen concerns, property values, and marketability, the applicant's impact analysis report, home sales, and the proximity to nearby residences in the Livingston Elementary School. Several citizens spoke in opposition. Some of their concerns included health issues, property values, the tower fall zone, visual impact, setbacks, animals, proximity to residential areas, and the school daycare center that's nearby, and how they currently have no issues with their cell phone coverage. In rebuttal, the applicant explained that the cell tower meets the requirements of the county's ordinance. They discussed the findings from their impact analysis report. They cited the American Cancer Society website regarding the little evidence link between cell towers and cancer, and explained that the subdivisions located east of the cell tower site, which is across Highway 81, are at least 400 feet away from the cell tower site. So this is the subject site. It has dual road frontage on Highway 81 and Cowan Road. The surrounding area includes single-family subdivisions, the Livingston Elementary School, and a child daycare. This is the applicable section from our ordinance, section 510-630, regarding the county's regulations for cell towers. For the site plan analysis, they're proposing a 12-foot wide gravel access drive and a 30-foot wide access and utility easement that accesses onto Highway 81. This driveway would have to be approved by GDOT. The driveway leads to an 80-foot by 80-foot lease area for the new tower site. They're proposing a 195-foot monopole tower, with a 4-foot lightning rod and associated ground equipment. For their setbacks and separation, the facility will be 61 feet away from the west property line, 87 feet away from the south property line, 158 feet from the east property line, and 357 feet from the north property line. There are a few off-site residences that are nearby. For the house that's labeled number 1, the tower will be 430 feet away. For number 2, the tower will be 240 feet away. For the third house, the tower will be 209 feet away. For the fourth house, the tower will be 217 feet away. For the fifth house, it'll be 321 feet away. The sixth house, 412 feet away. And the seventh house, 262 feet away. And the R2 zoning district setbacks and the minimum setbacks for off-site residences are met. Regarding fencing and landscaping, the tower will be surrounded by a 6-foot tall fence. It'll be made of steel and fence fabric along the sides and rear, and there will be stone composite along the front of the fence. And then the fence itself will be surrounded by 6-foot tall green trees along the north, west, and south sides. And there will be an additional tree line that surrounds the landscaping that they're proposing and the access drive. So this is just the concept plan again. This is a close-up of it. These are the elevations. It'll be made of galvanized steel. The applicant has provided a few photo simulations from 4 different locations. The first simulation is from Cowan Road. This is the proposed tower here. The second view is from Belmont Trail. The third view is from Highway 81. And the fourth view is from Livingston Elementary School. T-Mobile has provided a couple of service maps to show what the proposed coverage will be with and without the tower site. The yellow represents the reliable in-vehicle coverage, and the green represents the reliable in-building coverage. So this is the tower site marked with the red circle. This is currently the gray, white area is what's lacking. And this is what they're proposing with the tower site. So to conclude, staff recommends that should the tower facility comply with the standards under our ordinance, that it should be approved at this location. To again summarize the citizen opposition, it includes proximity to the nearby elementary school, incompatibility with residential zoning and community character, property values, visual and environmental impact, and the availability of more appropriate locations. The applicant has provided a value impact study, which was included with the staff report, and it's their professional opinion that the cell tower will not have any negative impact on some of the citizens' concerns in regards to property values and things of that nature. And their study was based on site visits, similar uses in the county and other counties, home sale prices, and interviews with various people and other market research. And the applicant also provided a professional engineer fall zone letter, and it's the engineer's opinion that it's highly unlikely that the tower will fail structurally in the wind event where the design wind speed is exceeded within the range of the built-in safety factors. And if the wind speed increased beyond the capacity of the built-in safety factors and the tower were to lean over, the fall radius is less than 199 feet at ground level. So should this petition be approved by the Board of Commissioners, it should be approved for a conditional use permit for a wireless telecommunications tower, subject to the owner's agreement to the following conditions. Where these conditions conflict with the stipulations and offerings contained in the letter of intent, these conditions shall supersede unless specifically stipulated by the Board of Commissioners. Number 1, to the owner's agreement to restrict the use of the leased area of the subject property as follows. A telecommunications tower and support structure / fencing at tower base. B, comply with the standards of section 510-630 of the Newton County Zoning Ordinance as applicable. 2, to the owner's agreement to abide by the following. A, to the site plan and legal description received by Development Services on February 26, 2026. Said site plan is conceptual only and must meet or exceed the requirements of the ordinance, and these conditions prior to the approval of a land disturbance permit. Unless otherwise noted herein, compliance with all conditions shall be in place prior to the issuance of the first CO. 3, to the owner's agreement to abide by the following development standards. A, landscaping plan must meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance to be approved by Development Services. B, the driveway and access shall be approved by GDOT prior to any permits being issued. C, prior to obtaining any permits, approval from Environmental Health Department is required. D, the tower site must be subdivided from parcel 0016-030. E, telecommunications tower shall be a monopole design. F, maximum height of tower to be 195 feet, 199 feet with the lightning rod. G, provide for at least 3 antennas. H, monopole tower shall accommodate equipment for potential use by Newton County for E911 and other emergency services. I, the existing shed on the property must be removed. So these are a couple of surveys. The first one is an overall view of the property. And the second survey was provided by the applicant to show the cell tower site. Close up. And this is the zoning map, which is R2. The future land use map, which is commercial. The watershed map, which is South River. Commissioner District 2 map. And that concludes the presentation.
At this time, we'll open the meeting for the public hearing. Anyone who would like to speak in favor of this zoning, there'll be a total of 10 minutes to speak. So if anyone would like to speak in favor, please come forward.
Madam Chair, before I begin, I've got a couple of handouts. Going to hand those out first. Thank you. Well, good evening. My name is Andy Rotenstrike. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, which is Gulf South Towers, which has been asked by T-Mobile to provide a monopole in this area so that T-Mobile can improve its service. Ayanna kind of laid out what the proposal is. I want to highlight a few things for you. Number one, the whole reason that we're here is to get better cell phone coverage into this area of the county. That's why we're here. As you can see on some of the maps that Ayanna showed you, it's lacking coverage for T-Mobile. There's no tower within 2.2 miles of where this tower is going, so none of the other carriers have sufficient service here. This pole will be built to accommodate not only T-Mobile, but also Verizon and AT&T when and if they decide they need to improve their coverage in this area as well. The main target areas to get better coverage is really due to all the residential development in that area. That's the goal. Get better coverage into the homes. Students can use their wireless devices better. People that work from home can use their wireless devices better. And students at the school and people that drive along 81 and the roads in that area. So if you look at the first handout, which starts with this colored map, let me walk you through this. This first page I have highlighted in yellow and orange is actually the survey that Ayanna showed you. It is the access road from Highway 81. The orange square is the lease area for the pole. That is the only area in orange and in yellow that we are going to be allowed to go onto on this property. The rest of the 3.36 acres we do not have access to and will not be able to disturb. It's fully wooded now and will remain wooded. The second page, again, is also one that Ayanna showed you. It's got the tower profile on the left I've highlighted. It's important to note that that tower profile is for a monopole tower. So we are going with the least obtrusive design that we offer in the industry for a reason, because we know we're near residences, right? We want to offer up the best device we can to get the coverage we need, but then also to make sure that we're sensitive to the areas that we're going in. This is a single pole design. It's not the big 400-foot tower with the guide wires. It's not the big three-legged monsters, which you can see 2 or 3 outside the windows here with the big lattice structures. It's not one of those. It's a single pole design. It's 195 feet tall with a 4-foot lightning rod, and it's 199 feet for a reason, because anything under 200 feet, the FAA does not require that you light it. So this tower will not be lit at the top like the towers you see driving down the highways and in most other parts of the city and the county. So we're not lighting it, and we're doing the single pole design, and we're building it to accommodate all of the carriers. Next page is a close-up view showing the distances. Your ordinance requires that we be the height of the tower from all residences. There's a circle, it's a little faint on this 3rd page, but that is the 199-foot radius, and we meet that under your ordinance. The next page, 2 pages, are the 2 maps that were shown earlier for the coverage. This is the reason why we're asking to build this tower. The first thing T-Mobile does when it needs better coverage is to go look and see if there's an existing tower in the area or an existing tall structure. There was none in this area that T-Mobile could use to get the better coverage. The only option is to build a new structure. That is the last resort for us. It's the longest process and most intense and most expensive. But we're trying to do that here to build up the coverage in this part of the county. So because there was no existing tower here and no tall structure, our only option is to come and ask for permission to build this one, and that's what we're doing. You can see on the maps, the green is really what we're trying to do between the difference between the first and the second map. The next page is a Google Earth map. I drew a radius of 2.2 miles. The little orange dots on the map are all the towers that are registered with the FCC. You will notice within 2.2 miles, there is no other tower. This is the only option. And then the last one is a copy of the fall zone letter that's signed by a certified engineer that was spoken of earlier. I just wanted you to see that, so the fall zone remains compliant with your ordinance. Now, the question came up at Planning Commission, why here? Why not put it somewhere else? Very good question. This document is what we call an exhaustion report. This was prepared by the folks that went out and found the property and did a lease with the landowner. There are 4 things you have to have when you're looking to build a new tower. You have to have a landowner that's willing to lease you property. You have to have a piece of land that is constructible. You can build on it. You have to have a piece of land that allows T-Mobile to meet its requirements for the coverage. And then you have to have something that meets the local ordinance. This parcel does all 4. That's why we're here. However, if you look at the next to last page that has the aerial map with the red circle, that is the search area that T-Mobile gave to look for a space for a new tower. There were basically 6 parcels in that property that we could look at that could meet the ordinance size-wise. The rest had residential homes on them. So the area to look was not very big. If you look at page 3 of that handout, this is where we reached out to every one of those 6 landowners. And only this landowner was interested in leasing his property, and only this property allowed us to build it. It met the ordinance, and it solved T-Mobile's needs. So this one parcel is the parcel that we can use. There are no other options because it meets those 4 criteria. There was also questions brought up about property values. You have before you a property valuation report prepared by a certified appraiser. His name's Bo Simpson. Bo's sitting in the audience if you have any questions for him. Bo went and looked at existing towers near existing homes in Newton County. And there are several examples in the back if you want to peruse the back. He shows you where the towers are, Sometimes the houses were built up against the existing tower. Sometimes the tower was there first and then the houses were built. But he looked at the sale price of the homes next to the tower versus sale prices of the homes further away. There was no difference in price. That concludes there is no decrease in property values. So here's your evidence for that. Now, in your ordinance, you have 8 criteria that we have to meet for conditional use. We meet all 8 of them. Number 1, you look at the height of the proposed use. Again, we're going 199 feet on purpose so that we're under 200 feet, and we're going with the monopole design on purpose. Proximity to residential structures, you set the requirements in your ordinance for how far we have to be. We meet that. Number 3, the types of uses on adjacent and nearby properties. It's mostly residential, the elementary school, and the child care center. Those are the areas that we're trying to cover. We have to be near the areas we're trying to cover. The infrastructure needs to be where the coverage is needed. That's why it has to be in this area. We look at you look at the surrounding topography. It's mostly level, some rolling hills. That can cause some signal issues, but this site alleviates those. The design of the tower, again, we're doing the monopole design on purpose. We're keeping it under 200 feet, and we meet your local ordinance. Ingress and egress will be off Highway 81. There's already a curb cut there, but we're fine with the condition to make sure we have all the requirements from GDOT. The availability of existing towers and other structures. I presented you that information that shows there is no other tower within 2.2 miles. And coincidentally, T-Mobile is already on 2 of those closest towers. So you can see the signal as it is does not get into this area. And then whether the tower is designed to accommodate additional carriers. This tower will be built to accommodate not only the 3 carriers that are out there, but also Newton County equipment as well. So we think we meet all of the criteria of your ordinance. We want you to see the homework we've done over the last year or so to find the right property and a willing landowner, and that this site meets your ordinance. And for that, we think we meet the criteria, and we ask you to grant the conditional use permit. So with that, I'll try and answer any questions. With 20 seconds to spare.
Would you like to reserve that 20 seconds? Okay.
But if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try and answer them now, or I can answer them later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone who wishes to speak against the zoning, please come forward. You have 10 minutes total if anyone would like to speak against this.
Good evening, Board. My name is Waka Hughes, and I serve on the Homeowners Association for Lincoln Estates. We represent 45 families. We are here to say that we oppose this telecommunication tower directly across the street from Livingston Elementary School. Although the gentleman stated that he had all these reports and everything like that, they failed to say that they spoke to any of the residents or to the school or to the daycare. So we, number one, want to say that it is not compatible with the surrounding land uses. It is inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. It fails to meet the conditional use standards. Although he said that it does not. It adversely affects nearby properties and the school and daycare. I need to repeat that. There is a school and a daycare directly across the street. We have PTO representatives here. We have students that are here. This is an unreasonable location for a cell tower.
Good evening, Board. I am a representative also of the Homeowners Association, but I'm coming today as a homeowner. This is what he said, the beauty, but we don't see a beauty. We see an impact to our environment. We see an impact to our homes. We see an impact to the roads. And on down the line, we don't know what impact it may have to our health until we get there, and we don't want to get there.
My name is Anita Lewis. I'm at 10 Brunswick Court, Covington, Georgia. As far as this man saying that he saw that we have a need for cell phone service in our area, I beg to differ. On the day that we came to the last meeting, there was a helicopter evacuation in Livingston Elementary School. Somebody had an accident nearby. That was done without your service. In 2012, my sister went into labor and called 911. It was done without your service. Over the past 20 years that we've been at that school, there's been several lockdowns.
Ma'am,
Yes.
would you address
Yes,
the board,
I'm
please?
sorry. It has been done without, so the lockdowns, the medvac, all of these things have been done without his service. He says that we have a need. No, you have a need to make T-Mobile's presence greater in our area. Nobody in there has this need. And besides that, I have never called 911, which I have on a daily basis because I'm the neighborhood Karen for the kids going up and down on the scooters. I have never needed T-Mobile to call 911, okay? It is not needed. What is needed is your pockets getting fatter and your market share. The signs that are located there are so far from the stop sign that they're not even visible. When you come by those two signs posted westbound and eastbound and westbound, it's just fine print. There's literally a generic sign that unless you were to pull over where there is no place to pull over to get out of your car and read those signs, nobody even knew that this meeting even existed tonight. The school's not aware. We went door to door. The neighbors are not aware. This person has determined what my needs are, and I have not told him what my needs are, because I definitely don't need an additional cell phone service. For the last 20 years, I have not. You want a piece of the pie. Let's make it clear. It's not about us, it's about you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Marion Scrimes. I am located at 25 Mission Point Lane. I am against this tower being placed there. For what I know, it does give off radiation. This is right by Livingston Elementary School, which is actually a great school. This is my third kid going into that school. I know I haven't had any problems with, internet dropping or calls dropping in that area. Most of the residents that are over there, there are quite a few that are retired that has come from somewhere else, and they've spent everything they have to get this house, and then for somebody to now come and put something in, that can affect them. So I am in opposition of it. This is Georgia. There's a lot of places I feel that they can put this. I just think that they need to put it somewhere else, but definitely not in our neighborhood. All right? Thank you.
Good evening to you all. My name is Jason White. I live in the neighborhood across the street from the plant site on Cowan Road. The gentleman said that, we need the access to be able to call 911. I had to call 911 last year when my wife had a stroke. Didn't have an issue. I was also able to call my kids that were out of state to help get them here to help with my younger children. Also, I have a younger child that's autistic. And from what I've read about the radiation from these things, it causes negative effects from them. Another one of my issues that I have with him that I know T-Mobile's not going to back, that they say it's not going to affect my property values. Are they going to guarantee that? That'd be my biggest question. Are they going to guarantee that? If I try to sell my home and I get a lower value than what I should, Are they going to pay for that? Probably not. But that's all I have. Thank you.
Good evening again. We want to know how many T-Mobile customers does T-Mobile have in the area? I am one of them, and I have not had any loss in service on Wi-Fi, off Wi-Fi with T-Mobile. And another question is also, did the research for this come from Newton County's homes, or is this a wide range of research for just the homes in on Highway 81, excuse me, in that area where we're going to be impacted?
If I had an opportunity, I would have done my own research. If I knew what that sign read, that generic sign that was sitting there when I crossed it at 35 miles an hour, I would have gone and presented my own packet of information. I didn't have a chance to do so because nobody knew what that sign said. Nobody can read a passing sign on the opposite side of the street from where you're passing. That's why so few of us are here. Nobody even knows about this. I would have liked an opportunity for someone to come to my door and say, hey, this is happening. And then I could go out and prepare my packet to present. Because guess what? When I go to the state fair and my grandma's apple pie is in there, guess who I'm going to vote for? I'm going to present my evidence based on my relationship, not on what's fair and not on the facts. So let's make it clear. This is not about safety. This is not about a 6-week-old child in that daycare center that's going to have 24/7 radiation exposure. What it is about T-Mobile getting a cut. Don't play me, partner. Please.
Would you like to reserve your time? She said yes. Okay. Okay, do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, since this is in District 2, I will actually speak on this particular case. First of all, thank the residents for coming out and sharing your feedback in regards to what you want. I know this board, we're currently doing a lot of work. You've probably heard the slogan or the saying in the residential area, my colleague Commissioner Long on the other end, being in the area of that particular area, it's always location, location, location is the key. When you're looking at where you want to place something or where you want to put something, and that's something that our board is currently working on now to make sure that we are doing our best to make sure that the right things are in the right place, doing the right things and benefiting our community in the right space. And if it's something that isn't benefiting our community, we want to make sure that it's proportionate, that it's put in the right place. I know it was stated that there really isn't any towers. I know there is one off of Highway 212. Maybe that's something that needs to be looked at from that perspective. But just looking at the information that's been presented, looking at also what our Planning Commission stated, and of course, I have an appointment on that board, and I trust that appointment. I know he dug in, he did his due diligence, he asked the right questions, he asked the best questions to make sure that we are doing everything we can to make sure that we are doing everything to keep our community safe. And so, with that being said, I move that we deny NTL 26-000001.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay. Oh, Commissioner Edwards?
No, I was voting. You just voted.
Yes, okay. I think we voted. All in favor, yeah. Okay, Ayanna, do you have the next item, or is that for our county attorney? Okay. Okay.
All right, so commissioners, we do have a public hearing on an extension of our convenience store moratorium. So you have a resolution before you that, sorry. Nope. Okay.
No,
we'll
it
go
don't
back.
sound like they did because everybody's like.
I'm sorry. The final vote was in favor of turning down the zoning.
A motion to deny that conditional use permit.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll continue with the public hearing. So this is a public hearing. I know we have a alcohol license reading, but we have to do a public hearing on the extension of the moratorium for applications and permits for convenience stores. So what you have before you is a resolution enacting a limited moratorium on the acceptance of applications, requests, or submissions that propose the development of convenience stores. So this resolution, again, it extends. We are under a emergency moratorium presently for applications and other permitting for convenience stores, and this would extend it to another 180 days. And we had the work session earlier today, so we do have some work to do still on the draft ordinance. So this would allow us to do that work without interruption of having to consider applications based on the current ordinance that we have. Well, we'll do the public hearing, and then we'll do a motion after the public hearing.
Okay, well, we will open the meeting now for a public hearing. All those in favor of the resolution for moratorium on convenience stores, there'll be a total of 10 minutes. If you'd like to speak in favor of this moratorium, please come forward.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Board. I am in favor of the moratorium for convenience stores. I know there's been a lot of talk, surveys, and all kind of things, so I appreciate that you're hearing the residents of Newton County and extending this so that we don't have to entertain any new convenience store applications. And side note, maybe we can add a few other things. Thanks.
Have anyone else? Okay, at this time we will close that portion. Is there anyone that would like to speak against this moratorium? Okay, we will close the public hearing. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, that was unanimous in favor of the moratorium on convenience stores.
All right, so moving on to the next item, is similar resolution, and this requires a public hearing. So it's a resolution for a moratorium on data centers. So we do have an existing emergency moratorium that prohibits any applications, requests for permitting related to data centers. So we're also continuing to work on that draft ordinance and expect to have a draft for the board's review. But until that time, we want to continue to make clear that the county's not currently accepting any applications or other permits related to data centers. So this is a public hearing.
This time we will open the meeting for a public hearing. All those in favor, the resolution for the moratorium on data centers. There'll be a total of 10 minutes. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this moratorium, please come forward.
Jeff Bishop, Covington, Georgia, Twin Oaks Drive, and just to make sure somebody's going to speak in favor, I'm in favor. Thank you.
Thank you. This time, we will close that portion of the public hearing. Anyone who wishes to speak against the moratorium? Okay, seeing none, we'll close that portion of the public hearing.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion, this is one of my favorite subjects, to continue the moratorium for the data centers until we are able to update our ordinances based on what was presented tonight.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, that motion passes unanimously. Okay. We'll go to the next item, which is an alcohol license. This is the second reading, Covington Market LLC, 5485 Highway 81, South Covington, Georgia. That's in District 1. Do we have a motion? Second? All in favor? That's unanimous. That motion passes. Thank you. This time we will go to the public comments. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes. If you would like to come up and speak on any subject, you would have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Kimla Cheese, 275 Mackenzie Court. I want to speak on the UDO. I highly recommend you take in consideration when updating the UDO to limit mixed-use housing because of what's happening over in Westfield Village, which is the subdivision behind the Kroger on Salem Road. When I came and spoke at the board meeting a couple of months ago, I reported that our first HOA meeting on February the 10th, we had 40% renters and 60% homeowners. We now have over 50% renters. So the number is outpacing the homeowners. The mixed use is just not working because developers like Pulte Homes, they are doing the build to rent scheme where they are selling to Invitation Homes. Invitation Home is taking over Westfield Village. The entire condos or townhomes, or whatever you want to call them, Rockland Homes bought those entire townhomes because they could not sell them. And so we now have 3 different property managers in Westfield Village. Phase 1, where I live, in the bigger single family homes, you have the LLC Heritage Property Management by Pulte Homes, the Syntax Homes that Invitation Homes bought up in phase 2. So that's the second property management. And of course, the third property management is the townhomes. So I just want to come to let you know, take in consideration for the entire Newton County to limit mixed-use housing. Thank you.
Good evening again, Maya Allen. I must come up and ask again that whatever conversations that you all may be having regarding the West Side youth facility, that if we could get some minimal progress on that, I think that would lend to some understanding from the residents of District 3. Not just District 3, it would serve all of Newton County. Yes, we have parks in other districts, but no other district has a youth facility. So Newton County, we have $12 million that we're sitting on that we're not using. We have a government that is taking away grants every day. Time is of the essence. Let's just say it like that. So last I heard, we were looking for property right off of near Hinton Chase and Fairview Estates. There's 22 acres that's been sitting there for over a year. So may you look at that. Thank you.
My name is Maddie Goggins. I'm National High Sports. I've been doing a whole lot of digging on a lot of things that's been going on here in Covington. And one of them is the pay is comprehensive study found a report saying the department has gotten over $20,000 pay increase, which was the methodology behind these increases without board approval. Now, I don't understand that. How could they get that much of money for that has been approved by the board? Number two, why does Newton County spend an exceed amount of money on attorney fees and third-party mediation for simple employee relationship issue, which the county is paying an HR director 6 figures with a staff of 6 employees? Number three, I have asked once before for an itemized invoice for Nelson Heights Community Center. Now, if I can't get it, it's been over 2 months, and it should have been within 3 days, at least 10. I'm not gonna keep coming to you all, asking you all about this and about that. I don't get it. I can go further up higher to get it, but I'm gonna let the law run this train. And while the law is running this train, he gonna stop a whole lot of going on in Covington. But we got that center out there. The center doesn't belong to Nelson Heights. It belongs to the correct center. It should be with the correct center. Because Nelson Heights don't have any say-so, who can go up there and use it, who can go in there. I asked for things for the kids up there, the little small kids. They got things up there for big kids. Big kids can get up there on it. Them like the small kids can't get up there on it. I asked for different things. You say you spent $100,000, $1 million? We don't see it. Not in no kind of way. Only thing new up there is a low water splash. Everything else was already there. That little kitchen in there, what they put in that refrigerator and a stove, and that little splash pad in there, and that little driveway they put in there. That's not $100 million, $1 million. So if I can't get it, I'm gonna try to ask, can I get it a little further? Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
Good evening. I'm sorry, my bad. My name is Councilman Turner. I'm with the city of Covington, okay? Some of you might not know me. Probably the first councilman to come up here to address you, just depends, I don't know. The one thing I want to address is, in general, my goal when I got elected is to bring the Board of Commissioners and the City Council together and just anything, right? In the past, I've seen a lot of arguing going back and forth between the city and the county, and I am a true believer of transparency. I am a true believer of that one Newton theme. I want to bring to your attention tonight, I'm going to look into possibly bringing the Boys and Girls Club to Newton County in general. My goal is to, if the public is always complaining about our youth when it comes to fireworks, our youth going out there, breaking into cars, shooting up the place, stuff like that, they need something to do. So in general, I hope for the future, the county and the city can collab and bring something for our youth that's more positive instead of arguing back and forth when it comes to different situations. I don't know what happened in the past. That has nothing to do with me. But in general, I just hope we can come together and believe in that one Newton theme. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
So I just wanted to address what he just said since he wasn't aware what happened before. There was a survey done for the children in schools in Newton County, Mr. Turner, to ask them specifically what they wanted. There was a survey done by a previous commissioner, and she went around to the kids and the schools, and Boys and Girls Club was not what they wanted.
Ma'am.
I just, thank you.
Thank you. This time we will close the public comments and we'll go to the commissioner comments. Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have a couple of announcements. One, we are excited to get ready to get back into our District 2 movie in the park. This is our 5th year of doing this every May, June, and July. So we are excited on May the 1st, 2026 at Denny Dobbs Park. We're going to have movies in the park celebrating Cinco de Mayo. So we want to ask everybody to come out, bring your lawn chairs, your blankets, your family, your friends. Join myself along with Ayuda Hispana Outreach. We are coming together to provide a movie in the park for our family. We always have a very, very great time, great movie. The movie will start at dark. And so feel free to come out, bring your family. We love to have you. So we have decor and food options and all that great stuff. So we're just looking forward to having a great time. So we'd love to see you all come out on May 1st, 2026. That's on a Friday. And then the second event, one of our District 2 resident has a nonprofit. I'm doing my very best to always work with our businesses and our nonprofits in District 2, and we have a lot of them. And so one of our District 2 residents is going to be doing a chocolate fest, which is for a bow tie and tiara tea party for our kids. And so they're going to give tiaras to all the little girls that come out, and they're going to give brown bow ties to all the little boys that come out. This is going to be taking place on April the 18th from 1 to 4 o'clock p.m. It's on a Saturday. You can register and pay at thechocolateforest.com. I think the tickets, $35 for the children, $20 for the parents, $50 for VIP. I think it's a great opportunity to bring the community together and really do something for the kids. So we're really excited about that. And of course, yours truly, Commissioner DeMond Mason, the District 2 Commissioner, will be there to speak to the kids, to encourage them, to continue to be all that they desire to be. And so just wanted to put those two things out there, that we are doing things for our kids within the community, and this is one of them, or two of them, the movie in the park, and then, of course, the Chocolate Forest Bow Ties and Tiara Tea Party. So that's all I have. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Cooper. Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you. What I want to say is that this Thursday, today is Tuesday, tomorrow Wednesday, Thursday at 6:30, 7:30, and possibly a little bit longer, we'll be having a community meeting at Nelson Heights Community Center. And I like community meetings because it gives me the opportunity to speak to the residents in person, to engage in conversation so they can tell me what they think we are lacking or what they think that we need. I'm also just going to add a little bit on to, when I first got on the board years ago, we had a good relationship with the city of Covington and all the other mayors and throughout the county. But somehow over the years, we kind of, as new board members came, we kind of faded away and faded apart. We need to bring that back, because together we can do a lot of great things for our citizens. We're working for the same people, y'all. I don't know why we can't seem like we can't work together, and we should. And unlike just like Commissioner Mason, some of my constituents want to have little move in the park. So we're looking at doing that too at Wilderness Night, and hopefully tomorrow that will be brought out because we invited our county manager to come for an hour or two so we can discuss stuff with him and move forward in making our community better. Thank you.
Commissioner Long.
I'll be brief. I want to address two things. I'm not aware that we don't have a good relationship with the city of Covington. I speak often to 4 out of the 6 council people. Mr. Turner and I have great conversations. Travis Moore, Jared, and also the mayor. So I think we do have good things, and we do agree that we can do some things together. We overlap, our districts overlap with Mr. Turner, so that's great. I want to address the young lady on the front row. I had an opportunity to help her look at her tax assessment and do some explaining about her tax assessment. And I did want to comment that her house value has decreased. And that was kind of an eye-opener for her, and some of it has to do with what she's discussing. So this is why housing is so important. I know people attack me all the time that I'm a real estate broker. The real estate broker comes in very handy in this board. And I'm probably the hardest to get a zoning passed, and you can ask other people that have done that, because I want to make sure that we build quality and people their values can continue to go up. They have nice housing, they have codes that will be enforced to make sure their housing stays just as nice, because they put all their life savings in a home. So it's very important that we don't see values decrease, and that if we do, we need to understand what's going on in that area for a value to decrease. So we had a very good conversation about that, and I appreciate you contacting me about that. And if anybody else wants to contact me about their assessments, I'm happy to go over that with them. So thank you again, and thank you to everybody that comes to our meetings and the citizens that get involved. We appreciate it.
Thank you all for coming tonight. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Second? All in favor? Okay, thank you.